This YouTube question comes from Ant Devane, and first he mentions that he is a huge Attitude Era fan and also a fan of the show, and he still believes that was the best era in professional wrestling. And he wants to know what we think went wrong with the WWE and what particular time this occurred, and maybe some other various reasons. Basically, where did they go wrong? Juan, you can start us off.
No, and he also brings up a pretty good point, which is that he thinks it's more catered to kids now. And I think that in itself basically answers the question. Kids equals money. Kids makes parents want to buy stuff. Parents have to go to the show. So parents and the kids buy tickets to the show. They make more money, buy more shirts. That's probably why, at least for me.
I mean, really, I think it's the reason why Kofi Kingston is still around. Like, we look at a guy like Kofi Kingston and be like, yeah, he hasn't really done much, but like every single interview you hear with a wrestler, they're saying like, yeah, the kids love Kofi Kingston and they just don't get it. So
Poor Kofi Kingston, that's the only reason he's around.
did I say only? I didn't mean that.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
It's
I'm going to add to that once Juan composes himself. Um, you all right there, Juan?
I'm good.
Okay. So to add to what you guys were saying is they have to sort of hit the reset button every decade or so to get that new crop of fans. It's just like how, companies like Budweiser and Marlboro used to have their mascots because they were trying to appeal to young kids. And so when they grew up, they would use their products. And even though that's bad, wrestling isn't that evil, but it's still, you want to appeal to a younger audience so that they grow up and become lifelong fans of the product. So it's strategy. But at the same time, I think there is enough of the show to appeal to everybody. And also that, yes, the Attitude Era was great and everybody loves to talk about how awesome it is. But you also got to think that it was a reflection of the times. The 90s, think about the music that came out in the 90s and the TV shows like the Jerry Springer Show. You had Limp Bizkit and Korn and all those bands, and Marilyn Manson, and they were all trying to be very controversial. Nowadays, everything's so much safer and PC, so that's why you're seeing this shift for WWE. They want more sponsors and everything, so they're going to be more family friendly. So it is a reflection of the times. But I think there's enough to keep everybody interested. And maybe it loses some people, but for the most part, since we've been fans for so long, we stay with it too.
Exactly, and this doesn't just involve WWE, it's wrestling in general. Like, I've sort of brought up a couple times, I'm a cameraman and part of the production team for a company down here, and about 2 months ago, we had a wrestling match that was awesome. It was like a false count anywhere match. There were chairs, there was table spots. It was great. You can actually check it out online. But the problem was there was blood in it. Now, for us as wrestling fans, we were just like, oh, wow, that's going on. But then the next day, a few days, preceded sponsors just going, hey, that can't happen again. And we're like, crap. So, and that is the exact same scenario WWE probably faces. And if that's in a small company, independent company, we do have a televised show, so that's why. But imagine the pressure WWE has to have this content where if it's for kids, how come there's blood? Even on Raw, we didn't bring it up, but that Christian Sheamus match was brutal. At a lot of points, it was just like, wow. And you got to think, so at what point do the sponsors, the advertisers go, well, the kids like that, but the parents also got to enjoy the show because otherwise they may not buy a ticket. So it's a really tricky thing. And I think that the WWE has gotten to a point where they have a good, happy medium. Ryan, you were actually mentioning that even though it's not as edgy anymore, the match quality has gotten better. And I sort of can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, I was briefly watching last week an episode of Raw from 2001, I believe is the one where Vince declares that he had purchased WCW. So it was very end of the Attitude Era, just before WrestleMania 17. But what I really noticed was that there was way more emphasis on storyline and entrances and all of that over actual match quality at this time. A lot of the matches, aside from maybe the main event, were short. They didn't even do commercial breaks in between matches. It was just straight up, the match happened in a matter of minutes and it was over. And nowadays you watch wrestling and they give a lot of matches time. Granted, there's the 3 hours, but at the same time, even before they were doing the 3-hour shows, they were definitely giving more time for matches. And I think something even John Cena said in that Stone Cold podcast was they're shifting towards a bigger emphasis of what goes on in the ring and less about things that go on outside of the ring.
Hey, if you like this clip, you can check out full shows over at ByteThat.com, as well as iTunes and Stitcher by searching Byte That. Also, send us questions through Twitter at ByteThatCast or email ByteThatCast@gmail.com.